So once again, welcome to our fourth video lesson on correction and feedback number 2. This is specifically on delayed feedback. But before we actually talk about it, here's the journey for these lessons. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to review what happened in the third video lesson, covering the idea of feedback, assessment, and all that. Then we'll be specifically talking about the differences of delayed and on-the-spot feedback, how to decide when to carry each of them, things like that. And then we'll move on to techniques, okay? So the very first thing you might remember is that when we talked about feedback in the previous video, we mentioned that feedback is directly connected to the idea of assessment. And we also saw that we have two different types of assessment. The summative assessment, which is the sum of something, of a process. So a formal test, something that happened at the end of the semester, let's say, or the month, right? It has the final evaluation, yeah? And we have the formative assessment. So this type of assessment happens throughout the process, yeah? And it identifies areas for improvement so they can be actually worked upon instantly, let's say. When we think of feedback, generally, we're thinking of formative assessment, the concept that we teach something, students practice, we check if they have made mistakes, and then we work upon them. We work upon it in this way. Obviously, summative assessment can also, in summative assessment, we can also have the idea of feedback, but it's a different process, right? Later on, in our previous video, we also mentioned the idea that it's very important that we have speaking moments in the class to provide students with feedback. Let's imagine the scenario. The teacher is the only one who speaks in the classroom. The students don't participate much. What kind of feedback can you give them? Obviously, you can give them feedback on maybe the behavior that they have. Yes, that's also a type of feedback for sure. But we're thinking of the feedback on language. So if the teacher is the only one talking, there's not much feedback to be given. Let's think of a different scenario. The teacher is the only one who speaks English in the classroom, but students aren't really encouraged to speak it. So they just speak Portuguese in the classroom. Again, the teacher lacks, the classroom will lack the opportunity to have this moment of feedback. So it's very important that students are given the opportunities and they are encouraged to speak English in the classroom so that teachers can provide them with feedback. And this could be done via a number of activities that we briefly talked about in the previous video lesson, but we also talked about in one of the workshops as well. So given all of this, have that in mind when you watch the rest of this video. What kind of moments can we use this? What kind of moments in your lesson can feedback be used? Are you providing students with enough feedback on language right now? These are some of the questions that are important to have in mind so we can deliver a more complete lesson, a more thorough experience for our learners. All right?